And what we doing today?
Rapping, innit?
Yeah?
Fucking rapping, innit?
Yeah? Fire in the pot. Let's go.
Look. Man try to say he's better than me. Tell my man shut up.
Shut up.
Mention my name in your tweets. I rude boy, shut up.
Shut up.
How can you be better than me? Shut up.
Shut up.
Best in the scene. Tell my man shut up. Couple man call me a backup dancer. On stage at the Brits, I'm a backup dancer. If that makes me a backup dancer, the man in your vids, backup dancer. The man in your pics, backup dancer. Man wanna chat about backup dancer. Big man like me with a beard, I'm a big man, how the fuck can I back up? Comes everywhere I go. I can't run with my enemy show. Walk in the club with all of my tugs. Party's done, everybody go home. Apart from the girl, them you lot say. Walk in the club with the girl, say hey. Tell a man like I'm paid to the A. There's no champagne, we not ready. Yeah, I'm the best, I'm so cocky. I got a mob like ASAP Rocky. I set trends, dumb man copy. They catch feelings, I catch body. They roll deep, I roll squaddy. Got about 25 goons in my posse. They drink Baileys, I drink Posse. I get murky, they get worried. If you got a GAT, bring it out. Most of the real bad boys in the south. If you wanna do me something, I'm about. I'm not a gangster, I'm just about. You see my man over there with a pouch? Yeah, one of you man try get loud. All of my man, they move so foul. I might sing, but I ain't sold out. Nowadays, all of my shows sold out. Headline tour, yeah, blood sold out. When we roll in, they roll out. I'm so London, I'm so south. Food in the ends like there ain't no drought. Flips don't talk like he's got no mouth. I wanna make my mum so proud. Like, yo, mum, book a flight, go now. All of my ex-girls talk to me hard. Talk to my face, till them talk to my palm. Had 4 bills and I bought me a car. Little red whip that I bought for my March. I straight Mercus who walk in the park. I take care when I walk on my plants. These MCs wanna talk about Lord of the Mics. You ain't even Lord in your yard. Dead MCs, blood, leave me alone. Me and your girl, when we speak on the phone. Kill a whole crew of MCs on my own. Kill a whole crew of MCs for the throne. Look, I was out hungry, so damn hungry. Man try to eat them, eat me the bones. Now these niggas, they need me to grow. Hot chocolate and a panini to go. I'm a big man, fucking postcode war. Man are upset about the mobile awards. Yeah, I was gassed at the mobile awards. Why? Cause I ain't won a mobile before. All of you MCs sound so bitter. Shut down wireless, shut down Twitter. Shout out DP, shout out Flipper. Best my age, yeah, blood. Look, if you don't rate me, shame on you. If you don't rate me, shame on you. Can I order a deathbed for an MC? Wait, he wants beef, let me make that too. Anyone else wanna make that move? Anyone else wanna pay their dues? Sniff chocolate in my face so smooth. Imposters wanna take my tune. Check it, don't even talk too much, you're a talker. The man still go halves on a quarter. Saw me turn from a prince to a pauper. 2 cigarettes and a bottle of water. Till the bouncers get the bottle in. Man in the kitchen putting in orders. Stiff chocolate, stew clear like water. Smooth in the skin, start knocking up doors. Brown skin girl in the cover with that one. Who's got President Richard Marsh? That one. Yeah. Enough, definitely. Yeah.
Well, somebody downloaded the wrong version, didn't they? Hi, good afternoon. How the devil are you? It's been a funny week, isn't it? I've been a busy woman. I'm sure you all have too. Do you like my scarf? I love my scarf. Even more than my scarf, I like my new Party of Women pin. I may be many things, but the Queen of Merch is definitely it. Just want to say about middle ground, and there's lots of stuff going on, lots of posturing. Some people have shored up some pretty safe careers for themselves, and some people have shored up stuff that relies upon the nonsense that we're trying to supposedly fight against. So that's interesting. But obviously we've seen some outrage farming with Spanish politicians eating excrement. That was not something I predicted. I don't know about your good selves, but I had no idea. But I want to talk about Kirsty Allsop and many women, actually. It's not just her. It's many women, including some on our side. And I'm minded that I've been told by women on our side before what I can and can't say, as if they've met me. It's so bizarre. As if I've ever been told what I can and can't do or say by people that I don't even know or really care for. So that's happened a lot to me. And one thing that keeps happening is I'll say something on Twitter and then somebody will quote somebody else who said the same thing years after I did. So that's always brilliant. Let me talk about Kirsty Allsop very briefly, because I don't think she's particularly significant, but she does represent a mindset And her mindset is, well, unless it absolutely slaps me in the face, I really don't think it's an issue. Unless it affects me directly and I can understand it. It's not actually an issue. You're so mean. Now, we can all pretend, if you like, for the goodness of cohesion, we can pretend that Kirsty sort of be nice, be kind, shut up, say nice things, speak nicely, is only from the other side or the middle ground morons. And it's not. It's very much in our own movement. That's why we have things like ultras, or as I like to call us, honest women. That's what we are. There's lots of people who police our language. There's lots of people who put women in the in group and the out group based on whether or not they're the right sort of clique, whether or not they're palatable, whether or not those women, even, very large platform women who still have their little toes very much stuck in the left and the cancel kind of culture of the left, and they're still a little bit stuck on that. And they still do things like use nonsensical language to talk about stuff. They might say trans identified instead of just man. Or they might say male bodied. It's just too late for that now, ladies. It's just a little bit too late. It kind of feels a bit wishy-washy. Feels like you don't really mean it. Feels like you haven't been listening for the last few years. And also, since the cast review, and then loads of people have backpedaled. And let's just remember, most of us didn't get involved because of the kids, because most of us didn't know anything about kids. I got involved, not sure about your good selves, but I suspect most of us got involved about what was happening to women. And then we learned what was happening to kids on top of that. So what we have is a lot of people now who've gone, they're not going to do it to kids anymore, even though they are. Oh, they're not going to do it to kids anymore, so I can just back off now. I can just walk away. Oh, my job is done. I did those 7 tweets over the last 3 months, and I have had an impact on them no longer putting awful things into kids' bodies. But the same people who say things like, oh, you're too mean, you're an ultra, not to ever use anyone's pronouns. Those people are now pretending they never said it for a start, and they certainly didn't say it in the last couple of months. So they're pretending that they've never said, I don't care what pronouns you use, I won't police you. I don't think anyone should tell you when you lie and use rubbish language that you're wrong. I think you should be free to do that. All those people are pretending that they've been really, really hard line, and they haven't. And I know that what we've done is a damn good job, which means there are some people coming out of the woodwork now who never would have said a damn word. I know that. But I don't want to go over it all the time. I just want to remind all of you that there are people looking to shore up their names in the history books and make sure nobody else's names are really remembered, or they're remembered wrongly, or their contribution is diluted. And I just want to say to those people, this war is nowhere near won. Nowhere near won. It's so far away from where most of us want to be, which is why I started Party of Women. And I started Party of Women because I want to actually get to the next level. I don't want to sit in meetings round tables, which I think is, for some people who come from that sort of sector of working, that's where they think the solutions will be found. I don't think solutions will be found by going and having chats and being all so pleased with ourselves when the likes of Kemi Badnock still don't really actually get the issue. I don't think you've done a great job. So if you're in those circles going on, we're so pleased with ourselves, we're so proud of ourselves, look what we've done. We've got a meeting with some people who are complete turncoats and liars and dishonest and have actually not done enough already and are already in positions of power. If that's your idea of success, then you are successful by your own measure. But my measure of success when it comes to this is that no child, no matter whether they're experimented or not, no child is transitioned. But my first and foremost is that we eradicate this nonsense from society and we actually protect women. And by protecting women, we protect mothers. And by protecting mothers, we protect children. And we know that we also have the devouring mother. And it's very interesting about women in Hollywood who choose to put their sons into sort of humiliation that they can't back out of. And I think there's something really weird and incestuous and very, very wrong about women who enable the mutilation of or social mutilation and annihilation of their children, whether they're girls or boys. But there's something in particular about women who do it to their sons. And Naomi Watts was recently photographed with her son, who looks miserable, and she's holding his hand, and she's happy. She's a happy, happy woman to have this new tiny dog accessory in the form of her own son. So there is something really weird going on. Anyway, right, let's have a look at why America is so screwed. And this is the White House. Genuinely.
According to the Human Rights Campaign, more than 50% of transgender youth in the U.S., which is estimated to be more than 150,000 kids.
Wow, that's quite a contagion, isn't it? How on earth would that happen?
Live in states in which transgender youth have lost access to or at risk of losing access to gender-affirming care.
They can't get their breasts cut off. I am just so upset about that they can't get their breasts cut off or be sterilized. That's not what I got into office for.
Look, this is awful news. Let's be very clear about that. LGBTQI plus kids are resilient.
Well, they're not, are they? Because they're also apparently suicidal. And they're also very anxious. And they also fear the state legislature and legislators from, they're apparently they're in a constant state of crisis and depression.
They are fierce. They fight back. They're not going anywhere. And we have their back. This administration has their back.
In fact, we have their front more because we've cut some of that off.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you like this video, check out these other videos from...
According to the Human Rights Campaign.
Okay, so that was the first one. I've got a very, very long video for you. I might cut it into two, so we'll see how we go because it is insane. So that was some sort of kids thing. Let's have a look at the White House in 2022 and how it pushed this nonsense completely. Just some of the I've done this video before, so if you think you've seen it and you think you're going crazy, you're absolutely right. You have seen it before. Maybe you are going crazy too. Who isn't these days? Oh, that just reminds me. Let me just say, the Labour Party. It was a tweet by Thangam Debonair. Let me just have a look. Let me just have a look because it's crazy. It's crazy what she was saying this morning that the Labour Party are going to do. Let me have a look. Oh, please let me. Youth empowerment event. Jesus Christ. Kids count too. That wasn't so bad. It's something to do with. Oh, here we go. So Thangam Debonair is an MP in Bristol. If Labour wins the election, we will provide mental health support in every school in Bristol. Fully costed, that's a Freudian slip, isn't it? Costed, funded, deliverable. A vote for any other party in Bristol Central is 5 more years of the Tories continuing to ignore the mental health crisis. I just want to say very, very clearly, very directly, I think the mental health crisis is a manufactured, I can't actually speak today, is a manufactured thing. It's the more you say, are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you happy? The less they're happy. We locked our children down out of schools and social situations for 6 months. Many of them right in the middle of their sort of development and their social development. Clearly, some people will have issues. They will have massive traumatic events which need to be sorted out. But I do not believe that we need mental health kind of policies and things in schools. How about we do reading, writing, arithmetic, history, and sciences? How about we do topics? We teach children about resilience and actually be able to work things out for themselves. How about we do that? How about we ensure that they are less like not online? How about getting mobile phones out of schools? Like, the mental health thing is in itself insanity, and that's what it will bring.
Welcome to the White House virtual convening on transgender equality. I'm White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, and I use the pronouns she, her, and hers.
My name is Jen Wazaki, and my pronouns are I'll say anything for cash.
I'm excited to welcome you to this important and historic national conversation about equality, freedom, and opportunity for transgender, gender nonconforming, and non-binary Americans.
But not for any girls who want some privacy. We don't believe in your freedom at all.
As President Biden said long before he became president,
He barely says any words these days, not that make any sense, but do go on.
transgender rights are one of the most important civil rights movements of our lifetime. And as I was proud to affirm earlier this year from the White House briefing room podium,
I actually do not have a penis. I was proud to tell everyone.
Transgender rights are human rights. On his very first day in office, President Biden
totally annihilated every single right in the United States of America that any woman had ever had. So thanks for all you kids who voted. Amazing.
The whole of the federal government with preventing and combating discrimination against transgender Americans.
I particularly like to watch all those men beat the living shit out of women in sports.
Agencies across the government are working to ensure that transgender Americans have equal protection under law and the freedom to live authentic, healthy, and safe lives.
With or without genitals.
But we know there's so much more work to do to secure full equality for every trans person in our country. Because transgender people, especially trans women of color, continue to face epidemic levels of violence, poverty, and discrimination.
Can I just say, I just want to correct everyone here. Straight men who don't call themselves women, regular men, they are the most likely group to be killed in the United States of America. Not this epidemic of women of color in dresses with penises.
Today we'll hear from transgender youth, activists, athletes, and leaders around the country on their work to build a fair and more inclusive America. We'll learn about their triumphs and their hopes and about the enduring forms of discrimination that too many trans people still face in our country.
I do wonder how stupid you have to be to believe in all of this stuff. Like, you either have to have so much to gain or so much to lose maybe, but so much to gain. But to come out with this stuff as if you believe it, I think is mad. It makes no sense.
Country. Let's take a look.
Hi, everybody, and happy Pride Month, and welcome to the virtual White House.
Happy Pride Month. Last month was Super Pride Month. Next month is Trans Month, and the month after that is Whose Genitals Is It Anyway month. So, welcome, kids. Have you been groomed?
I'm Ambassador Susan Rice, and I use the pronouns she, her, and hers, and I have the great privilege of being President Biden's domestic policy advisor.
Sometimes when he struggles to find a word, I might find one myself, and I can speak in sentences, which is really helpful for the old guy.
I'm super excited to be joined today by 4 phenomenal young people who are transgender activists from around the country. Today, we're going to hear their stories.
Oh, God, I can't think of anything more boring. Oh, boy. Should we play? Boy, girl, woman. Anyone else? Well, it's got to be a girl or a non-binary because she's got short hair. Oh, and here's creepy guy. He identifies as there's a boy. Next guy
be more
identifies as
positive
a
and more
creepy guy.
inspired by you.
He's amazing, this creepy guy.
And you know, you all are what give me hope for
For our country to actually lose all its population. So we're hoping that you kids who've been sterilized, you won't have any children. Maybe you can rent some sort of incubation things. Sometimes we call them women.
our future. And many other people, young people like you. I see that, you know, in my own children and their friends and their generation.
She trans her own kid. Did she mutilate a kid? Is that what we're talking about here?
Just so
COVID-19.
Sorry, I couldn't.
That's heartbreaking. We can't athletes from a COVID
Uh,
gender identity and
I've
sexual
watched,
orientation.
let me say, I've watched this guy on mute, and he's just a creepy guy. He's a creepy guy. Okay.
Environments for transgender students that are nurturing, welcoming, and affirming. Our schools must be places where students.
He's got a very large badge. A very, very large badge. If I'd ordered some badges, if I got some stuff made and they came and they were that big, I would refuse to sell them. That's a ridiculously large badge. That will have at least 2 pins on the back as well. So what a waste of money.
Know they are safe. Let's be clear from the start. Every single student in America has immeasurable worth and limitless potential.
Except girls. We don't think anything of girls. We couldn't give a shit. Not a shiny rat's ass.
And every student has the right to feel valued and supported so they can do their best learning. It's essential that schools and educators work to protect the rights of all students, including students who are transgender.
Including students who are transgender. Everyone. Come on. Yay. Do you know what he should have? He should have one of these.
Transgender students must be afforded the same opportunities.
Do you reckon this is what I think. They started this and he was like, transgender students must have every opportunity. And someone said, hey, creepy guy, you need to smile all the way through it because you look a bit miserable. And so now he's doing the kind of, I really love children smile. I love them so much. Children are just so great. Love kids. Love them. Creepy.
As their peers to participate fully in and experience the joy of school, including extracurricular activities.
Like breast binding. That's what we do in our after school. I love it.
I'm proud to share that the department affirmed this month that Title IX prohibits discrimination on the basis of
We wiped out all protection for girls.
gender identity and sexual orientation in all education institutions that receive federal funding.
We made it impossible for girls to have any safe spaces whatsoever. I mean, for me, I just want to stick on that wig and go in the girls' changing rooms myself. Amazing.
We know that full inclusion at school is an important part of supporting the academic, physical, and mental well-being of our transgender youth.
Like I said, we don't give a shit about girls. Yay.
Just as it is for all other students. Banning young people from engaging in school activities on the basis of sex defies our values of inclusive equality.
We have always, as a tree, allowed the nest to go wherever it wants. Everywhere. Penis, that's us. Oh, I'm so happy.
Equality and freedom. And with our announcement, the federal government has reaffirmed that discrimination on the basis of sex, including sexual orientation and gender identity, is not only wrong, it's prohibited in our schools.
We want to make it impossible for any girl to have any freedom. We're gonna do a pincer movement here. What we've done, we got elected. Then what we did after we got elected is we erased women's rights and kids' rights and girls' rights. Yay! And then what we did is we didn't protect reproduction rights either. We used it as a political football. Oh, I'm such a happy man with my massive badge.
Because all means all.
All means all. Gamps especially.
This is important because it enables my Department of Education to work even more closely with states, districts, and others to prevent and actively combat discrimination.
At this point, I think discrimination means including the penis. That's the only thing it can mean. It's just about getting that penis wherever it wants. And now what they've done is they've just made it more impossible to even call it a penis. So, yay, penis everywhere. Like in the girls' schools and everywhere they want to go.
Against LGBTQ plus students in schools. This is important because students' lives will
Oh,
be
she's annoying,
changed.
isn't he?
take
Let's
that
have a look who
effort to
else. Oh, this is
having to
this is-
escape to
oh,
some
here's creepy
started
guy with a
Some abuse,
confused child. This
including
is nice.
sexual abuse.
Creepy guy with a very confused kid next.
So, if you are a transgender student, we have information and resources for you at the Office for Civil Rights. Check out the LGBTQ plus students page on the Department of Education's website at www.ed.gov.
Penis.
I want to say directly to all the transgender students gathered here and all across the nation.
If you want to DM me, you can. I'll come and see you. You come and see me. Nobody needs to know.
We are on your side. We've got your back. We stand with you. We see you. We hear you. We respect you. You matter. You are brave.
Yeah, you're brave. Because you're in the cult. And we could drink those fruity juices like the Moonies. It'd be great.
And you are already strong, standing in the light that
Even all this language is so crazy. This massive, you are the light. You are. It's like someone wrote a speech and they had to pretend that it was like a monumental, really great speech. These are moronic speechwriters that say to him, smile. Like, smile when you're talking about kids. That's a great idea. Smile. So smile the whole time like you're really pleased with yourself. Do that. And then at the same time, say this stuff that is totally overstates the position. You are brave. You are light. You are light. There's a light emanating from you. I can see the sunshine shining out of your ass.
emanates when you can be unapologetically and authentically you. Continue to be courageous by speaking up and speaking out.
It doesn't take courage, actually, to be somebody speaking up for the cult. It takes a great deal of courage to speak against
When you
it.
believe that you have experienced discrimination. At the Department of Education, we will stay laser focused on supporting all students, including transgender students.
Only trans. This is a country where people get beaten to kind of unconscious brain damage level in schools. But don't misgender anyone. Don't call a boy boy, for God's sake.
Because when we do, we take a stand for equality, for justice, and opportunity for everyone. I'd like to end my remarks by sharing a recent conversation I had with my cousin Alex, a
Oh, there we go. I was wondering how he became like a predatory weirdo, and then we found out. Cousin Alex.
transgender college student who's making our whole family proud. Alex had such great insights to share. Check it out.
Just saying that a lot of people choose to call themselves trans because they've been sexually abused. I'm not saying there's a connection here. I'm just saying.
Hi, I'm Alex Cardona. secretary's cousin, and I'm a senior at the University of Hartford, studying cinema communication, and I happen to be female to male. I came out when I was junior to senior in high school, and
Oh, when puberty hit. Coincidence.
started my medical transition end of my senior year.
You know, for me, this is really important so that we can really kind of just elevate consciousness. And
Oh, why don't you smile? Smile. Look, it's not creepy. Nobody thinks that you're a predatory pervert or a paedophile. Just keep smiling at the wrong place, completely inappropriately. I think that's a great idea.
you know, when we say all means all, we mean that here at the Department of Education.
When we say all means all, we mean, we want to mutilate kids like you. That's what we want to do.
We want to make sure that we're giving you an opportunity to share your story and why it's important. I always feel that it's important to have allies that are not necessarily LGBTQ.
Absolutely.
Right?
People, especially LGBTQ people, their biggest support system could be at school. They could not have a supportive household, and I was lucky to have support.
She just say household instead of family. Is that what she said? Household. So you can get your support at school where you've got activist teachers, just in case your household isn't supportive. She means family. She means parents.
Supportive parents, but not everyone does. And a lot of times school for these kids it's an escape for them. And having to escape to somewhere that's also unsupportive just doesn't help anyone. But having a good support system there is an escape.
Of course. You've shown a lot of courage, and that's why I really wanted to reach out.
God almighty. It's so awful. His smiling is so uncomfortable.
But I also want to send the message really loud and clear. We got your back.
I want to smile all the time. I poured myself an orange juice. And, the orange juice was cold. And every time I think about kids getting their breasts sliced off.
Our schools need to be safe places for all students. All students deserve a school environment that's nurturing, welcoming, and accepting.
And educating. I mean, mainly you do want a school environment to be educational, to actually teach people stuff. That would be good. This man's too annoying. She's annoying. So what is the link with men who have, well, I think I know what it is, right? So men in all male environments like army, military, navy, etc. I think they are just head up all the time with things that they may regret that they've done and porn, right? So the two things hand in hand. There's a pornography that they probably watch far too much of. They have a breakdown of like proper solid relationships. Or maybe they choose the military because they've already got some things that they'd like to forget about themselves. So they choose like a really ordered, prescriptive existence. And then eventually that thing that the fetish just bubbles, right? But with this, I just wonder, is it that those men have done such dreadful things that they want to pretend, in addition to the porny, fetishy stuff, but they want to pretend to not be the person that they are ashamed of? I just wonder if that's some of it.
Though challenging, has been an intense and rewarding path of personal and professional development.
I am talking with half of my voice, and I'm also talking at the top part of my throat. I'm hoping to bypass most of my male deep voice stuff because I'm trying to pretend that I'm a woman, even though my son, Marty McFly, is going back to the future.
Despite the discriminatory policy then in place, I've enjoyed incredible support from my leaders and from those I've had the honor and privilege to lead throughout my transition.
Tonight, I'm going to a dance at the ocean something, I can't remember, and I'm gonna listen to some 1950s music and hopefully meet the girl of my dreams.
Yet as one of approximately 1,600 transgender service members who served openly at the time, I was a member of an endangered species, officially labeled a burden and a disruption to the military.
But now I get to dilate for 4 hours a day and get a whole medical package and a really high salary, and actually I just stick things in my rotten hole.
Despite all evidence to the contrary, until policy changed again this year. Now, thanks to the action of President Biden during his first week in office to restore open service, we will not be the last transgender people to wear the uniforms of this nation.
In fact, loads of us get together and cross-dress every Friday while we stick dilation things in our rotten pockets.
Serving openly allowed me to flourish as my authentic self. My authenticity opened new pathways of communication and connection.
I get to shower with the girls. Nothing makes me happier than being a 50-year-old man showering next to 22-year-old female recruits.
I was a better commander because of it. Removing real or perceived barriers to authenticity that force people to hide who they are is a gift to individuals and organizations.
Now we have porn in meetings.
With those burdens removed, people who previously dedicated their mental energy to protecting their identity can now dedicate themselves fully to the mission.
Except when we dilate. Because if we dilate, we can't actually stand up.
For the military, service members could have been good or even great at what they did, but they weren't reaching their full potential. With our biggest advantage in conflict,
Oh, we're going to go and kill someone today, boys. Let's go and save the people that have been kidnapped by some jihadi group in, I don't know, downtown New York. Let's go and rescue them. Just one moment, Captain. I've just got to put my stockings on. I don't feel like I can be a full member of the military unless I've got my penis hanging out of a pair of lacy panties. So if you're just wait a moment, I can't possibly do my job unless I have a semi.
being our people, we need everyone at their best. Reopening military service to transgender individuals is a gift to our nation.
I was serving in the trenches. It's a good job it wasn't 1918 because I was so sexually aroused you could have seen me in the trenches, if you know what I mean.
Every time the military has integrated minority groups, from African Americans to women to lesbians, gays, and bisexuals, we have emerged stronger.
Look, I agree. Obviously, a soldier who has dark skin is exactly the same as a soldier who dilates for hours every day and gets sexually aroused by himself as a woman. It's it's not even racist to talk about it. Apparently, endlessly, relentlessly. It's it can't possibly be racist to compare an actual black man to a bloke who gets turned on by himself as a woman. It's some people say that's racist. I just it's really racist, terribly racist and homophobic to say that these little fake pretend wannabe women are the same as gay men. Jeez.
Because of it, they have all served with honor and distinction. It's the same with transgender service members. The United States military is going to fight and win in the future.
I must say, that guy who played Marty McFly's dad, this is a role of a lifetime.
Based on brain power. And if some of those brains just happen to be in transgender bodies,
just swap them. I've seen a man with two brains, haven't you?
Capable of meeting all physical standards, they could be our future heroes. A society that does.
I was finding myself when I was on the front line, what I found is I could run better in heels.
Doesn't tap into the potential of all its members, naturally self-limits what it can do. But the United States dreams big and can't afford to miss out on the talents of anyone willing to dedicate their.
I mean, I could take the mickey out of him all day, but he is really boring. Kids. Brilliant.
Oregon now. I'm a transmasculine non-binary person.
I'm a transmasculine, non-binary, well-read person who has a label or 10, and I like my labels, and I took testosterone, and I'm actually 4'9", but I do pass as a man. Do you? No, I don't think you do. No.
Who grew up in foster care and didn't feel I could
Oh, strange. So a young woman grows up in foster care, disassociates from her body, finds this answer, can forget the probably horrendous trauma that she's actually been through, because you don't get to be in foster care unless your parents are neglectful, hateful, abusive, or anything else, or die. It's Jesus. Look, in many ways, I do feel great compassion for these women. And even the younger boys who have been fed these lies, but there comes a point where I think they're responsible. So I think she's now responsible.
come out as fully myself until I left foster care at the age of 19. When I turned 19, I moved away from Wyoming and went.
I'm not sure if with the testosterone comes a blocked up nose, but lots of them have the blocked up nose voices as well.
Went to school in Portland, Oregon, where I was able to be.
I'm going to skip him.
I'm only trans women elected.
Affirming LGBT.
I'm the
I know it's mean. You know what? If anybody calls me mean, I genuinely don't give a shit. I'm sick and tired of pretending that it's all right. This is laughable. This man is laughable. The way he looks is laughable. He looks like a man. He looks like a really big man. And so many of them look like average kind of nothing people. I think this man's name is Danica or something, but he's terrible.
To represent the people of the 13th District of the Virginia House of Delegates, which includes the city of Manassas Park and the western Prince William County portions of Haymarket, Gainesville, and my lifelong home Manassas, as the first out and seated transgender state legislator in America.
Oh, come on, mate. Nobody, you couldn't have been in. It's not like anyone has said, oh, look at that woman. Oh, she's a bit big, isn't she? Oh, she's a bit butch, isn't she? She's quite masculine, isn't she? People have gone, look at that bloke in a dress.
In history. Today, I'm joined here with 3 other barrier-breaking trans women in public service.
Okay. I think this is like an episode of Try Not to Laugh.
Each of us were the first to be elected to office that we now hold in our states. But as Vice President...
He's got very big hands. I mean, your hands look big when you talk on camera. But he's got very, very big hands.
Kamala Harris says, we may have been the first, but we won't be the last.
We may have the first, but we won't have the last. I think his voice was more or less annoying when he pretended that he was a serious person as opposed to this joke.
We're here today to talk about why it matters when trans women lead, the barriers we faced, and how we overcame them.
We're going to discuss why it is that men should lead, because men don't really lead. We don't have that in America right now. We don't have men leading. It's, we need women to be represented. And then in this case, we've got men representing women, so men can lead. And we can stop the imbalance of women not leading by being men leading as women. So.
First, I am grateful and honored to introduce my friend Andrea Jenkins. Andrea, you and I were elected the same night.
Andrea, you and I were elected the same night. I've got a film in my head called The Brave Little Toaster. I don't know if you know it. You might know it. It's a very cute little film. And there's a radio. And it's like 1950s radio, 1940s American radio. And it's very much like that. And that's how he talks.
November 7th, 2017. And you had the distinction of becoming the first Black, openly trans woman elected to.
You've seen a little, you've seen a tiny little snap flash of what this man looks like. Again, I'm going to ask you right now Could he have been an in? Could he have been a man pretending to be a woman that nobody guessed? Because he just said out. This person was out.
Public office in the United States.
Ready?
Please tell us your story and why representation of Black trans women in politics matters. What does it mean for how you approach racial equity, gender equity, and LGBTQ?
Before he comes on, let me just say, have you seen Coming to America? I'm just going to offer up Mr. McDonald.
rights.
Hey, good. Thank you, Danica. And it's just so great to be here with.
Am I wrong? He is from Coming to America, isn't he? He's the guy that owns the McDonald's. Is it called a McDonald's? Somebody will have to correct me.
With you and all of my other fellow colleagues that are serving our communities all around the country. My name is Andrea Jenkins. And
my name is Andrea Jenkins. I've put my face really near the camera and my body way behind, or I look like a Funko Pop figure.
And I am Vice President of the Minneapolis City Council. I live and work in Minneapolis and I represent
McDowell's. Thank you so much. McDowell's. McDowell's. That's who he is. Mr. McDowell.
8th Ward in Minneapolis.
I don't think I can. Oh, here's my mate, Tim. Right, okay.
To advocacy and politics ties into my own journey toward authenticity to come.
Is it me or all got massive heads and really small shoulders? Anyway. I'm getting so much wrong today. Someone just put Funky Pop, but I thought they were Funko. Anyway, you'll have to correct me. So this is Tim McBride. Tim McBride is part of HRC or was HRC. I think he's now a senator. Tim McBride is good friends with Biden's son who died. And so that's why I think that's part of the reason this administration is so dangerous. Anyway, Tim McBride is a person that I came across, and I went in and he was looking at some photos after a meeting. It caused the women that sort of say that I mean, all the very polite sourdough WhatsAppers that are on our side. They all said that I think Kathleen Stock said I put the movement, Julie and I had put the movement back, feminism back by 10 years in America by asking this bloke some questions about his hatred of lesbian girls and his running HRC, and we just asked him some pertinent questions. The whole video is about 5 minutes, but we go in a room where he sat down and we don't even go that near him because we knew what we'd be accused of. But anyway, all of the women that are now shoring up their kind of, we've always been so brilliant. They had like a field day. I think it was the likes of Julie Bindel, Kathleen Stock, Rosa Friedman. Rosa Friedman said asking that man some questions could be considered criminal. But all that set said that I shouldn't ask this very dangerous man some questions.
Coming out. Because as a young trans person growing up, figuring out who I am and trying to figure out how I fit into this world.
So this pornified fetishist, what he did as part of HRC is one of the first campaigns was to get a man who called himself a woman who'd beaten a woman so badly and severely that he nearly decapitated her when he beat her and killed her. And then he went home and sat at the table with their son, because it was his wife, went home and sat at the table with their son as if nothing happened. And they campaigned to try and get him into a women's prison. A woman called Natasha Chart, who used to be with Wolf, she gave a speech in 2019 outside of HRC. And so anyway, this is him. He's very dangerous. And I guess my link to him just shows that I've been doing this stuff for a very, very long time. So please don't quote people at me who've been talking about this stuff for a shorter time than me about how they've said something, and I'm supposed to be grateful when I've said most of the things they've ever said. I've said it first. Just saying.
In our country. So I'll turn things over to my friend Stephanie Byers.
Thank you, Sarah.
I'm 54. I'm also 5'6". And I just want to let you all know that I really love women's changing rooms.
58 years old, and I'm going to throw that out there at the beginning because the fact that means in my life, I was a child in the 60s, an adolescent in the 70s, became an adult in the 80s. And when we think about what has happened to our country during those decades, how we've become more and more accepting of people that may have been thought of as different earlier on as we progress forward.
So I'm gonna stop this, but I just in America, right? In the United States of America, there are some campaigns. What Let Women Speak does, as well as Party of Women, that no other campaign seems to, is we deal with grassroots. We talk to women. We ask women to speak for themselves. That's the first thing we do. And we do it without any other weight of expectation of political ideology, right? I don't ever feel the need to come and tell everyone where I vote or how I vote or what my views are before speaking. And often in the United States of America, women feel the need to do that. And I think the more they do it, I think the more dangerous it gets and the more you can't speak. But what we want to do here at Let Women Speak with the Oklahoma on the 17th of May is we're going to start up a proper fight back in the United States of America that isn't dependent on sport. Most of us don't play sports. I know sports is really important and that's great. Well done. But we want to talk to women about being their own voices in this. And there aren't these outdoor events. In fact, there aren't any here either. It is something that I'm really proud of and that we do very, very well. But in the United States of America, right?
And here I am.
Man here, he is allowed in any women-only space because of President Biden. And the government before that was Trump, he didn't do enough to stop this happening either. Right? So nobody is winning here for me. I'm pretty sure that the Republicans have a different view than the Democrats on this shit, but they also expect you to sort of sign up to the rest of their views. And I think this is bigger than that. And I think that every time people just endorse it, like the conservatives in this country have been absolutely useless. They've forgotten to be conservative, right? Doesn't matter whether you're a conservative or not. Your Conservative Party should be conservative, and it isn't. They are not interested in that. They talk about the individual. They don't talk about women's rights. And even Kemi, or on the other side of the aisle, Rosie Duffield. There's not one single politician that I think actually has any guts on this or courage. And if you're going to speak out, you might as well be hung for a sheep as a lamb, right? There's no point saying, well, I think some people shouldn't have trans rights. Or I think, gender non-conforming children have been most harmed by this and all this. None of it makes sense to me. You might as well just speak the truth efficiently, effectively in his short sentences. Because anything other than that, it's just pointless. I mean, there are people in this country who pledge allegiance to parties, the SNP and Labour, for example, who hate women. Why would you stand for a party and help them get re-elected when they've basically told you they hate you and they hate women and you'll supposedly be standing for women? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. That's why the Party of Women makes so much sense. Because when it comes to these sorts of fights, we are just women-centered, single issue. That's why it works. And Let Women Speak is the way to make women all around the world, all around the country, have a voice, which is much, much, much needed. If you want to help what we do, because everything costs crazy amounts of money. If you want to make a donation to Let Women Speak, or you want to help fund any of our events, then please go to the little QR code, or go and get yourself something nice. Go and get yourself one of these lovely scarves. And then if you're a member of Party of Women, we've nearly got the shop open where you can get yourself your own little Posie Party of Women badge. Anyway, if you can just see clearly and speak passionately, then I promise we will win. If you can get yourself out, and let me just say, there's about 200 women going to Madrid, going to our event in Madrid. If you can stand up for what you know to be right without fear, and even if you're afraid, with courage, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Well, because I never lose.
I got to push back anyway.